Just letting everybody know that we are live and good to go on my end.
Okay, 6:30, we'll call the meeting to order. Tracy, take roll.
Harrington,
Here.
Hoffman,
Here.
Pollock, Smith,
Here.
Wason.
Here.
The agenda is before you. There's no real changes, so a motion to approve would be in order.
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Consent agenda. Anything on there that you would like to pull out and talk about first before we get going? If not, a motion to approve the consent agenda be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Kevin, your turn.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple quick things to report on tonight. St. Andrews Drive, the road was open to traffic last week. We did a walkthrough last Thursday and we're issuing a punch list to the contractor. Actually, that was issued today. So they'll be working on all the punch list items. The aquatic HVAC replacement project, that one was substantially completed last week, and the final walkthrough with staff was conducted on Friday, and we issued the punch list to the contractor. There are two items from that punch list that were requested by staff outside the scope of the project. It's a replacement of a gas line and replacement of some balancing dampers in the locker rooms. So we've requested pricing from the contractor to review that. Rancho Way Phase 5. We're working on the check plan submittal to the DOT. That would be our second submittal to them, and also still working on the property acquisitions. Although we still have not received any comments from the DOT from the first plan submittal. So hopefully we'll get those soon. And we are planning on a presentation to the city council at the next council meeting. Dubuque Street Phase 1, we had the first plan review meeting with staff earlier this month, and our next one will be mid-October. And then lastly, Rancho House renovation Phase 2. We held the pre-construction meeting with city staff and the contractors yesterday, and they should start very soon. Actually, I think they might have showed up today. Okay, so very, very soon. The completion on that will be May 30th of 2021, but we're very hopeful that all the interior spaces are done by the end of this year. That's all I have, unless you have questions.
So, Kevin, does the Rancho project include ghost busting?
Ghost busting? No, it does not.
Seemed to be some activity there the other night.
That's what I heard. Yeah, that basement's pretty scary.
Fine.
Kevin, I have another question on Ranshaw House. Kevin?
Yes, yes.
Okay, sorry. Are we able to use the interior space? So if it's completed end of this year, can we use it before everything's completed end of May? Or is the goal everything's complete and then we can use it?
Yeah, we're not quite sure. It all depends on this fall and the site work that gets done. I suppose if there's still good access to the building, we may be able to use it right away. But
Okay.
if the site's all torn up yet, then probably not.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
I'm sorry I can't give you a good answer, but it just kind of depends on how it goes this fall and early winter.
That makes sense. Thanks.
Mhm.
Kevin?
Yes.
Okay, Ryan?
I'm
Okay,
good.
thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple things I wanted to talk about tonight. In fact, one of them I invited Nick here this evening to talk about, and that is our Great Neighborhoods Initiative. We kind of kicked that off today, and I'll ask Nick to provide the group with an update.
Hey, folks, thanks for having me. So we talked about Great Neighborhoods before, and this is a project and initiative that came out of some conversations about where our communication holes are, but also is informed by some of the work that we did through like the listening post and recognizing that we need to find ways to build better relationships throughout our community. And it was also an opportunity that honestly the pandemic presented itself with. We're not getting ready for Beat the Bitter. We're not doing a bunch of fundraising for Booze and Barbecue because we're carrying that money forward. So Jillian has some extra time to sort of help push this on over. And she really is doing a lot of the heavy lifting on doing this. Our hope is that this is a framework that we can, that departments citywide can use to improve our relationship with the community and how we serve the community. So all this information is at northlibertyowa.org/begreat. And what we kicked off with today was recruiting neighborhood ambassadors. So this initiative is all about relationships and encouraging neighbors to connect with each other and to build stronger connections between the city and its residents. So one of the ways I've talked about this and think about this is everybody in this meeting has relationships with people in the community, people who are comfortable calling or texting or emailing questions or thoughts or occasional complaints. But there's a lot of folks we know that don't have those that same sort of connection and comfort, and who see local government as closed off or worse. So how do we help make sure that those folks have a better relationship with us? And we've had intentional conversations with staff and department heads about how we as a city can meet people where they are. So today we did launch the neighborhood ambassadors. So we're building this around 29 designated neighborhoods, and we used Nextdoor, the social media platform. It's designated neighborhoods so that platform can be used as an communications tool for those ambassadors within their neighbors, just the way Nextdoor works. That makes it an easy and natural avenue and to divide up. And so what we're looking to recruit is 1 to 3 ambassadors per neighborhood based on size and a few other factors. We're also looking to recruit some language ambassadors to help us increase our capacity for English language learners and to reach into those populations, as well as senior community ambassadors who live in our senior living facilities. We know that there's some neighborhoods that are going to take some additional work and real intentional outreach to make those connections with. And so we're planning to do that. We've got 3 online information sessions that start this Thursday the 24th at 7, Saturday the 26th at 10 a.m., and Tuesday the 29th at noon. Those are all on Zoom, but we're hoping that we've already had a few folks apply. The Communications Advisory Commission is going to help us vet those folks and select those folks. I would encourage you folks to pass this along to folks who you may know, and even if they aren't the right fit, maybe they know somebody who is. So again, we're looking mostly to help first build good communications, two-way communication relationships, and we're also looking for people to help make sure that their community and their neighbors have a voice, and to encourage really community level problem solving through this program, and just a better service from the city to its residents.
Questions for Nick? Please thank Jillian for all the work that she's done on this one. She's
I will.
done really good work. Anything else, Mr. Heyer?
Yes, a couple things here. Nick, thank you. I'm just really excited about this project and being able to hopefully engage folks that we haven't previously. So this is exciting. Another update, a positive one, is that we are tentatively planning to have what we're calling a soft opening for the dog park, October 1st. We've started building a website or a web page for that, northlibertyiowa.org/dog park. You'll find a lot of information there, park rules, hours, the fee schedule, a number of things. We do want to note that this year there won't be any fees charged. We're not set up to do that yet. So it'll be free and open access to the dog park starting October 1st through the end of the year. And then next year we'll start, as folks get their light pet license, they'll have an option also for a park pass as well. The seating took really well out there initially, although August was a little hard on it. The Parks Department did an overseed last week, so we're hoping for a little rain here before October 1. But then we should be ready to go, and that's what we're planning for. And the dog park PAC of Johnson County is still out raising funds for their portion of the for their pledge of the project, and that information can also be found at that website I referenced earlier. So good news, finally getting to see that open after a long project. And then lastly, I just want to turn it over to Councilor Hoffman for a second to say a few words.
Thanks, Ryan. I just wanted to, and we all wanted to, take an opportunity as a council and as a city to congratulate Mayor Donahue again on his induction into the Iowa League of Cities Hall of Fame. And for anyone that has not seen it yet, I know all of us have, and we participated in that. Visit the city's website, and I encourage you to do so, to see the video we recorded and also to read about his induction. That application is long, and it's pretty cool to read. Mayor Donahue's service to our city is only part of the history that he has been a part of across the state and as part of this league. He served as the mayor of Creston for 14 years, and prior to that as a city councilor for 4 years, until he decided not to run for re-election in 1995. Between 1995 and 1998 was the longest 3 years of his life, I believe, because he got back into public service when he and Robbie moved here to North Liberty in '98, and quickly joined the Planning and Zoning Committee, and then also was quickly chosen to be their spokesperson as the chairperson until his election to council in 2007. Mayor Donahue has served in that capacity as our mayor since 2017. Many of you know that Mayor Donahue was first elected to the board of the Iowa League of Cities in 1988 and has served multiple terms either as a board member, a board president, or as a past president. And if you had a chance to read his induction application, I think the very last paragraph said it best when they said, Terry is not filling an official role on the Iowa League of Cities board this year for the first time in a while. So we can finally nominate him for his service. Since 1995, the Iowa League of Cities has inducted only 51 other servants from across Iowa into their Hall of Fame. So Mayor Donahue, you join elite company in this recognition. We join cities across the state, elected persons you have served with, and staff across the state of Iowa, as well as the League of Cities, and our wholehearted congratulations to you, Mayor Donahue. And if any of my fellow councilors would like to say a few words, we have officially stolen the moment. So the floor is yours.
Okay, you had your chance.
Chris, well
Thank
said.
you
I
all so
think I'll
very
just
much for your support. What, Annie?
Terry, you have to listen. Am I
Did you wanna
frozen?
say something, Annie? You're frozen in time, Annie.
Mayor,
Again,
you
thank
may have
all
been
for-
saved by the bell, but I'm going to stall it out to give her a chance to come back here.
Earth calling Annie, Earth calling Annie.
This is her moment. If you've had a chance to read that application, I thought it was pretty interesting. It took a while to get through it, and it was not only it wasn't a long read, obviously, but it was a really interesting read. And Terry, we know you as the mayor and someone that's lived in North Liberty since, like I said, since the late 90s. And most people don't know your previous life. You intertwined that with the work that you did in Creston and all of that work that you did in building that community in Southwest Iowa. That was fascinating, and I think it's lost upon a lot of people the amount of time and effort you took then and you still take now to put in to our city. So I sincerely appreciate that, and I regret not having my video to the city in time to be a part of the official unveiling a couple of weeks ago, but glad to see I didn't miss the cutoff entirely for that. So I hope the accolades have been pouring in from across the state ever since then.
The only thing they didn't include was being born in a log cabin by the Ohio River. Other than that, it was pretty good.
It was a dig into your past, that's for sure.
Thanks for your service, Mayor.
Oh, you bet. You guys make the whole team. That's the important thing to me. Well, if we get Annie back, we'll give her a chance. Anything else, Ryan?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, my report. Got 3 proclamations tonight, and Alta is with us. I hope. There she is. We'll get right with you, okay? We have a, whereas domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking affects women, children, and men of all racial, cultural, and economic backgrounds, causing long-term physical, psychological, and emotional harm. And whereas 1 in 3 Americans have witnessed an incident of domestic violence, and whereas children who experience domestic violence are at a higher risk for failure in school, mental illness, substance abuse, suicide, and may choose violence as a way to solve problems later in life. And whereas domestic violence in rural communities exists as a hidden, silent, and often unrecognized crime that is often underreported. Whereas through the inspiration, courage, and persistence of victims of domestic violence, their children, advocates, our communities are learning to recognize the impact of violence in the home and intimate relationships. And whereas the Domestic Violence Intervention Program has worked to end violence in intimate relationships for more than 40 years through the collaborative partnerships of advocates, volunteers, local municipalities, criminal justice, health and human services, faith communities, business leaders, and private citizens. And whereas our community's achievement should be commended, and we must continue our commitment to respect and support victims of domestic violence and to prevent future violence in our community. Now, therefore, I, along with the Creston City Council, right, got me going now. North Liberty City Council hereby proclaim the month of October 2020 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Alta.
Yes, hi, thank you so much. I just was hoping to share a little bit. I had sent out the statistics and sort of our Domestic Violence Awareness Month calendar to you all. I hope that you've received it. If not, it's in your inbox. On that, you will see that we have it broken down as far as the numbers go, which I always find to be really interesting. We take a look at them each year. In Johnson County, we helped just over 1,100 individuals in Johnson County alone in the last year, which with the pandemic is pretty on par for where we've been in the past, even though we know that fewer people tended to reach out as they were isolated with their abuser. So definitely the need is great and is there. North Liberty specifically, we helped 91 individuals, which is pretty close to last year. Last year's number, I'm sure you don't have it memorized. I didn't, was 97. And so we are really happy to be partnering with the North Liberty Community Food Pantry and just building our relationships with the faith community there and continuing to work with the citizens of North Liberty to find safety and dignity. I also wanted to open it up to answer any specific questions that you all might have. I know that you are used to hearing from a lot of different people in our organization. So.
Alta, I have a question. Thanks, Mayor. Thanks for being here tonight with us. Just can you talk a little bit about just how you've had to pivot with COVID and just with the pandemic and just different things you've done there from a community perspective?
Yeah, so my position is Director of Community Engagement. So normally I'm the person that is literally running around to all 8 counties we serve, going to county fairs, going to church groups and meetings, Rotary, Lions Club, sort of anybody that'll have me. And so that is all, my drive time has gone down considerably, which is great, but it's also harder to connect with people. So we've had to do a lot of problem solving around how we connect with victim survivors and how they get our information. Sorry, my son just walked in the room. Okay, sorry about that. I apologize. It's the joys of working from home. So that being said, our advocates and our community engagement team have spent a lot of time trying to connect with individuals where they are, if that is, on social media, or how do we reach them there? But then as they're isolated and isolation is used as part of that control tactic, how can we get into their homes? So is that by being in a coupon book in rural Iowa or in the liturgy that's going out as people do that virtual lessons with church services, sorry. So in that way, we've pivoted a lot. And then the other ways would be more on our shelter. So our emergency shelter normally houses 40 individuals. We're full 365 days out of the year. And at this point, because of COVID and that communal living space, we have had to reduce the population within shelter to about half to create that distance and space. And so that means that we're utilizing hotels. That means we're utilizing other resources in ways that we haven't had to in the past, which increases the cost of the work we do. Normally we would have, just sort of staying in a hotel is much, much more expensive than housing them within our emergency shelter. So that has been a very current challenge that is affecting us both in keeping individuals and citizens safe, but then also financially and finding resources for that. At the beginning, we received FEMA funding that helped support that, and obviously some other municipality funding has gone to that, but it goes quickly. So we are at the point of trying to find those resources and brainstorm a lot. Certainly welcome any ideas and any support. North Liberty has been incredible at supporting the work we do. We received those funds from you guys back in July, and it's always a great way to start our fiscal year with your funding. So we do appreciate that so much, and that you really value and support victim survivors.
Alta, thanks for, sorry, Annie. Alta, thanks for what you and your colleagues do for not just North Liberty, but for Johnson County. The service that you provide is incredible. Can we take advantage of this time to let those who may be victims of domestic violence right now know how to reach out for help?
Absolutely. I love it that so we started DVM yesterday officially. I have my first proclamation, so you're my second, and both city councils have been amazing at asking that question. So thank you. Victim survivors, or even, friends and family, right? If you are concerned about someone you love, you want to be able to reach out and get some good guidance on how to support that person. And anyone is able to call our hotline number. It is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That number is 1-800-373-1043. And I'll repeat it again, 800-373-1043. And we are there to talk to you, to talk about safety planning, to talk about options, to talk about what abuse is, right? Not everybody even realizes that they're in an abusive situation. So just getting that information and talking through that is a first step. That hotline is the way that you sort of get into our services. You don't have to be referred by anybody, just free to call.
I want to thank you also for, just you all service. I know this has been a very trying time for everyone. It's just been one thing kind of layered on top of another. So, it's very hard. So to have that service available to people in our community is very helpful. And just working with younger people as well, for them to realize those signs is too, because we know that it's just not adults that's in abusive relationships or unhealthy relationships, whether that's a living condition or just a relationship in general. So having those resources and opportunities at hand is very important. So I definitely appreciate all of the work that you all continue to do, even through all of this.
Thank you. Thanks so much. We are trying to reach, I'm working actually with Alpha Chi Omega to create some social media videos about dating violence. So we're pretty excited to actually share some of those. I am not a TikTok know it person. There's some certain areas of social media that are lost on me. And so we recruited some young volunteers to help us get that message across, but that's exactly right. Markeisha, thank you.
Also, one more quick question. So with that hotline, is that able to text as well, or is that only call?
That is only call, because text is not secure. We cannot guarantee the safety of, and sort of that integrity. So Facebook messaging, we do have people reach out to us via Facebook Messenger. We direct them to call us at that point as soon as they're able, because Facebook messaging is not secure. So certainly try to remove any of those ways that a perpetrator might be tracking or following their victim. And so that is the hard part when people are isolated with their abuser, is that you can't exactly make that phone call if nobody leaves the house. And as we saw in May, as things slowly started to open up, we saw about a 28% increase in our hotline calls at that point. Wow. Which is substantial. I mean, that was huge. So.
Wow, thank you to you and your whole team.
You're on mute, Carrie.
As I was trying to say, thank you, Alta, for sharing your information with us this evening.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us and for supporting the work we do. Certainly, Domestic Violence Awareness Month is going to look very different this year. Normally, we have a lovely, multi-city Hy-Vee challenge with our Shop for Shelter event, where we see who can raise more goods for victim survivors. This year, we will not be handing shopping lists out in person at Hy-Vee, and are doing a social distanced contactless drop off on October 18th. So just encourage y'all to help share that information with your constituents, and certainly we're happy to pick up as well. But all of that information is on our website. So thank you all for having me and for your time this evening.
You bet. Okay, our next one is Arbor Day proclamation. Whereas trees are one of Iowa's most valuable natural resources that help to clean our air and water, create employment for over 7,000 Iowans, help to conserve our soil and energy resources, provide critical wildlife habitat for over 300 different species, yield bountiful outdoor recreation opportunities, and make our communities a more pleasant place to live and work. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas the City of North Liberty has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue its tree planting practices. And whereas each year Arbor Day is observed by the people of North Liberty, Iowa, with special attention paid to the care and planting of trees. Now, therefore, I and the City Council of North Liberty do hereby proclaim October 3rd, 2020 to be Arbor Day. Our third and last proclamation, September 28th, is Good Neighbor Day. Whereas the City of North Liberty has launched the Great Neighborhoods Initiative to inspire residents to extend a helping hand to others, foster new relationships, and advance the quality of lives in their corner of North Liberty. And whereas good neighbors build great neighborhoods, and great neighborhoods make for a more connected and resilient community. And whereas small acts of kindness can make a big impact on quality of life. And whereas National Good Neighbor Day was created in the early 1970s by Becky Manson of Lakeside, Montana. Whereas in 1978, United States President Jimmy Carter issued Proclamation 4601, stating as our nation struggles to build friendship among the peoples of this world, we are mindful that the noblest human concern is for others, understanding, love, and respect build cohesive families and communities. The same bonds cement our nation and the nations of the world. For most of us, this sense of community is nurtured and expressed in our neighborhoods, where we give each other an opportunity to share and feel part of a larger family. I call upon the people of the United States and interested groups, organizations to observe such day with appropriate ceremonies and activities. And whereas knowing more people in your community makes it easier to ask for or offer help, understand someone else's perspective, raise a concern in a productive way, and lean on one another when a pandemic throws a curveball. And now, therefore, I, along with the North Liberty City Council, proclaim September 28th to be Good Neighbor Day in North Liberty. Appropriate time for that proclamation. Okay, next on your list, the Duran rezoning request. This will be the third consideration and adoption of ordinance number 2020-12, an ordinance amending chapter 167 of the North Liberty Code of Ordinances by amending the use regulations on property located at 1475 South Jones Boulevard, located in North Liberty, Iowa, to those set forth in the municipal code for the RS4 single unit residential district. Anyone wish to establish the third and final reading?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions? Tracy, please.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Third and final reading passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Next one is LJP rezoning request. This is the third and final consideration and adoption of ordinance number 2020-13. An ordinance amending chapter 167 of the North Liberty Code of Ordinances by amending the use regulations on property located at 205 West Penn Street, located in North Liberty, Iowa, to those set forth in the municipal code for the RSO single-use residential special use district. Anyone wish to establish the third and final reading?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions? Tracy, please.
Wason,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Third and final reading passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Zoning ordinance update. Russ, Ryan, would you give us a brief description of what you're trying to achieve with this?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I just shared my screen. This zoning ordinance amendment, a little bit bigger than the last one, kind of looking at this as a phased approach to making the zoning ordinance more user-friendly and addressing contemporary practices. This effort began with the citizen requesting a larger garage size. They requested a variance that was denied. And so that just kind of caused us to take a closer look, you know, is there a valid reason to amend garage size? And that kind of snowballed into other things. So I took the opportunity to amend some definitions to kind of make it eventually what I want the zoning ordinance to look like, but just trying to add diagrams instead of all user text. So here's a couple of examples. Here's another example that we're providing in the definitions. And just generally speaking, just cleaning up some definitions that I thought were a little confusing or outdated. This is the next section that we have, the location of accessory buildings and uses. Right now, regardless of lot size, you can have an 850 square foot detached garage. That's regardless if you have quarter acre or 10 acres. Other places I have worked, there was more of a sliding scale depending on the size of property. So we are introducing that concept. And you can see it here. It's 1,000 square feet, 1,200 up to 1,400. But you can't exceed the footprint of your house. And that's really the thing that you kind of should be concerned about, are these accessory buildings being out of scale with the home. And I think what we're doing here achieves that. Allowing other things like that are more contemporary, like greenhouses and ground mounted solar systems, and just a general reorganization of that section. Also reorganize supplemental yard and height regulations. So this allows encroachments into what we call yards. Before, or the current version is a completely written text, and those are kind of hard to follow. We reorganized into a table format and kind of, like I said, updated it to what we consider modern uses are, like a private recreation court and sidewalks and things like that. That's just an example of what that table looks like. And the last section was our design standards, removing ID, RD, and RFB districts from the earth tone requirements. I don't really think they were intended to apply to ID, which is our interim development. And that's your typical white farmhouse that you would see. RD, we're starting to see more of the use of non-earth tone colors, primarily white. And with the manufactured housing park district, the state has taken away our ability to regulate these parks from a design standpoint. And so we really leave the earth tone colors to commercial, industrial, and large multifamily. And I think those are the ones that have primary impacts on our major corridors. Also wanted to better define earth tones. So we've defined that and allow a little bit more flexibility of roof color as long as it's compatible. Right now there's the word should, and that gives us no legal backing to enforce. We did receive some input from Art and Colleen Chipman. They were supportive that the city was willing to look at this and make a change. They did say that they would like the sliding scale to be a little bit larger. I think from a staff standpoint, a 1,750 square foot garage is a pretty decent sized 6-car garage. So we think the scale that we proposed is adequate. So we support the current version. Planning Commission unanimously recommend approval. It's September 1st public hearing, and staff recommends approval as well. Thank you.
Now's the time for a public hearing in regards to the proposed ordinance amendments. Do we have anyone call in with any questions or comments?
Just the email that I mentioned.
Nothing additional.
Thank you. Call the public hearing then to a close. Planning Commission and staff recommendation. Go ahead and repeat it again.
Sure. Yep. The Planning Commission considered the item on September 1st, and they unanimously voted to recommend approval of the ordinance as presented. And staff recommends approval as well.
Any question for Mr. Rusnick? Any?
Just a comment, actually, Mayor. Ryan, when I first looked at this, I'm like, this is very well done. So visuals, I think, is great. Well organized, cleans. I mean, just kudos to you for updating this, not only from the nuts and bolts, square footage, but also, like you said, break it up a little bit so it's easier for people to digest it and visually see, what the words are saying. I think the tables also, you just did a really nice job. So thank you for taking the time to do that.
Yeah.
Continuation of that, Mayor. I'd also say that, this Ryan's office through the course of a year probably takes way more complaints than they do thank yous and kudos. This is showing that that office is taking input from our citizens, being open to that input, open to change, and bringing those needed changes incrementally to the council for approval. Really like the way that this is being handled and look forward to it continuing.
Any other questions or comments for Russ? Okay, stay with me on this one. This is a long one. First consideration of ordinance number 2020-14, an ordinance amending section 167.01, Code of Ordinances of North Liberty, Iowa, entitled Definitions, by amending certain definitions, adding exhibits, and deleting certain definitions, by amending various sections in Code 169, Code of Ordinances of North Liberty, Iowa, entitled Development Regulations, by amending section 169.06, entitled Location of Access Building and Uses, by allowing an increased size for detached accessory buildings based on lot size, by allowing greenhouses, ground-mounted solar systems, and flagpoles, by reorganizing section 169.06, and by deleting certain provisions in 169.06, by amending section 169.08, entitled Supplement Yard and Height Regulations, by reorganizing 169.08 in table format, by correcting conflicting provisions, and by amending section 169.12, entitled Design Standards, by removing ID, RD, and RFB districts from earth tone color requirements, by better defining earth tone colors and allowing flexibility in roof color as long as it is compatible with the design of the building. Anyone wish to establish the first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions? Tracy, please.
Wason,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
First reading passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Next item on your agenda is a resolution number 2020-75, a resolution approving the city street financial report for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2020. Any questions for Tracy before we enter into the resolution?
Tracy, have you been able to use any of the new software package for this report?
Nope, we're not even close to implementation. We're just doing all of the background work right now.
Hearing nothing else, anyone wish to establish resolution 2020-75?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions? Tracy, please take roll.
Harrington,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Wason.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Number 12, investment policy. Resolution number 2020-76. Resolution approving the investment policy for the city of North Liberty, Iowa. Anyone have any questions in regarding to those policy revisions?
Mayor, I just hit Ryan with a very late question in the description of the treasurer. Needs to be flipped over to city clerk in there, but otherwise no other questions.
That is correct. The wrong version ended up in the packet. I apologize.
No worries. Sorry for not noticing it earlier.
Anyone wish to establish that investment policy number 2020-76?
Sorry. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Last questions or discussion? Tracy, please.
Harrington,
Sorry, I'm on mute still. Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Purchasing policy. This was to be resolution number 2020-77. Resolution approving the purchasing policy for the city of North Liberty, Iowa. Tracy, this was changed because of the auditors, right?
The last section of it for the federal purchasing for federal grants was added upon the suggestion of the auditors. Yes.
It wasn't very short either.
No.
Questions for Tracy on those changes? Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final questions. Tracy, please.
Smith,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. 14, the Preserve Part 4, Resolution 2020-78, a resolution approving the developer's agreement for the preserve. Someone would like to just describe that for the public, please? Part 4 is what?
Sure. This is the most recent phase of the preserve development by Watts Group south of St. Andrews Drive and adjacent to Kansas. And this continues the existing arrangement that we have for the payment of their share of the actual cost for public improvements and such. They've got those in and I believe we're ready to go. And so they need this in order to move forward. I believe construction plans were approved as well.
Okay.
And so this is it.
I'm sorry. So this is really for the established single-family homes along Centennial Park area.
Yes. And
Mr. Resnick says yes. Okay. Other questions? Anyone wish to establish that resolution developers agreement?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Final questions or comments? Tracy, take roll, please.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Pollock.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Old business. New business.
Mayor, I have a question for Ryan. I'm getting a number of questions in my inbox about trick or treating. Have we made a decision on whether or not trick or treating will proceed in the city or not?
Good question. The mayor and I talked about that a little bit last week, and the initial thought was that we would do something with shortened hours and getting a solid message out there about social distancing. Now, I just saw today, actually, and I haven't had a chance to talk to the mayor about it, that the CDC is suggesting otherwise. And so our group's meeting tomorrow, our staff group, and it'll be a topic for discussion there. So Councilor Smith, the short answer is we haven't made any final decisions yet, but look for that to be coming out soon.
That's fair. Just keep in mind, Solon's made their decision to go ahead. Should we decide not to, I would assume that would push a fair amount of our folks to Solon. So just something to consider.
Yeah, and I would say that I've spoken to Iowa City and Coralville, and at least when I talked to them last week, they were thinking the same, that they would go ahead with some limited type event.
I can tell you with other mayors across the state, what they're doing is about as far apart from one another, just saying no, all the way to go ahead and have things as normal. So there's no unanimity as far as agreement is concerned. Again, I heard the thing on this about the CDC, and the thing was is trying to make it safe as possible and as contactless as possible. So those are the aspects we're trying to look at, Brent.
Thank you, Mayor.
You bet.
I just wanted to take this time to acknowledge that it is National Hispanic Heritage Month as well. And so during this time, it's celebrating all Latin American countries, started on September 15th to October 15th. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, and that today is National Voter Registration Day. So if people have not had the opportunity to register to vote, please do so. I know that there has been an overflow of absentee ballot request forms coming out. So if people are planning to vote by absentee ballot, to make sure that they send in the request form for that as well, and that they will only get one form mailed to them. They don't have to worry about getting 3 of them mailed to them. So please exercise your right to vote and get involved as much as possible.
Thank you. Annie?
Well, Mayor, thanks. Sorry about earlier. Worst time ever to have technical difficulty. Mayor, so first, just old and new, all citizens out there listening, please ping Terry, congratulate him. Chris, you did a nice job there, and it was a real honor to be able to surprise you, Mayor. With that induction award, City of Coralville did a very nice welcoming for that, and it was nice to meet your family there for that event too. So just bottom line for me personally, you've been an incredible mentor, and it just have really, you are the epitome of city leadership. So thank you on that, Terry. Also had a question on trick-or-treating, so thanks for tackling that one, Brent. And then a reminder, 2 more quick things. So September 28th is the virtual, our second Placemates as a city. So Nick and Jillian, thank you for continuing to organize that. So virtually this go around, so you don't have an excuse if you don't want to get out of the house, but just a way to meet people. And again, just please connect with folks. So September 28th, that'll be taking place. You can RSVP online. And yes, if you can, please support the soft opening of the dog park. And the dog pack has done a lot. They're continuing to fundraise, you know, eat at this restaurant. It's a local restaurant. Proceeds help support what they're doing to fundraise. So thanks for all of their efforts, and just a lot of great things continuing going on in our community. Just find what you're passionate around, and please contribute your time and talents. Thank you.
So, and then I'd just like to mention that, and unfortunately, the fire department had to set a record for the number of calls for assistance last month because they were so busy. So just wanted to let them know we really appreciate all the work they did, most of it related to the storm. And if you haven't had a chance to drive by the fire station, they gave a little update, and actually it looks pretty nice.
I think everybody needs to send condolences to Chris. The thing is, Romy's birthday, she's going to be turning 13. In about 2 years, she'll be ready for driver's education, Chris.
She will. Let's get her used to sitting in the front seat for a while, though.
Other things, I had hoped that everybody received a copy of the MPO agenda for tomorrow night and had a chance to read the thing about the commuter railroad system. Boy, I'm still very uncomfortable with that, especially with the price tag that's being attached to it, and really questioning again some of the numbers. I know Brian brought this up months ago, and Brian, you got any comments on that one?
So just the proposed route has limited access to people to actually get to the rail line, and I just really question 1.4 million riders a year.
I agree,
Brian.
Brian.
1,000 people a day, and I think that personally, I think we should be looking at other ways for improving transit.
I agree totally, Brian. 1.4 is so very unrealistic. I don't know where they got that number, but that cannot be factual.
Anyway, want to keep you all abreast of that. That's coming out, because I know probably sometime. We have not really taken an active part in those studies and all, but you can bet they're going to be asking us for something, our opinions on it later on. So your input is valued on this one, substantially so. So let's see, Transportation Committee, Thursday, we're looking at some add-ons to services to that could be made available to other persons or other destinations. We hope to have that prepared list for council, the first meeting in October. And again, the system has been doing, I think, fairly well. It's doing what we hoped it to do. A statement was said that instead of just trying to focus on the necessities of life, looking at issues to where we can have people looking at some more quality of life. And we're trying to look at that as a group and see where we can and where we may not be able to help. So stay tuned for that one. That should be coming up in the near future as well. Other than that, you guys are really doing a great job for the city, and I appreciate that so much. I can tell with things with what Mr. Rusnick is doing, really bending some things in the right direction. Keisha's leadership and as far as relationships in this community, the initiative about good neighbors policy and day. I mean, it's really coming together, folks, and I'm really proud of you, really proud of you. So if you have no other comments, we adjourn for the night, and thank you so very much.